Welcome back to The Issue Is. Joining us now is our debut panel. Darren Schnur teaches about politics at both UC Berkeley and USC. Areva Martin is a legal and political commentator and author of the new best-selling book, Make It Rain. Let me show you that. And there's the cover right there. And Joel Pollak is host of Breitbart News Tonight and SiriusXM and author of How Trump Won. There that is, looking very good. All right, and full disclosure, Dan was my professor at USC, and it's kind of surreal to have you here for the first show.
It's a little weird for me too, Alex.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, so let's talk about the governor's race. That's the first issue. We just had Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom here. What do you think of him on the show, and what do you think of the state of the race right now?
Well, it's interesting watching Gavin Newsom on the show, Alex, because in the deep blue state of California, he is the deepest blue of the top-tier candidates. And it was very clear in his discussion with you that he was not going to allow any room to emerge on his political left. Once he's made it through the primary, and we can talk in a moment about who the other candidate might be, then you'll almost certainly see him make a more aggressive outreach effort toward voters in the political center. But at this point, the deep blue candidate in deep blue California knows he's the front runner. He's not going to do anything to compromise that. And
Areva, we have the top two system, which we're kind of testing out this time, which means it could be two Republicans, two Democrats, a Democrat-Republican. Antonio Villaraigosa making a strong play yesterday in the African-American community locally. What did you make of that? And what do you make of where he's at right now?
Well, clearly, Antonio at this point seems to be in a race for second position. Clearly, as Dan said, Gavin Newsom is the front runner. What I thought about that press conference, though, with Danny Bakewell and those African-American leaders, there was Herb Weston, there was Curran Price, there was, a whole host of African-American leaders. But if you look at that photograph, who wasn't there? Maxine Waters wasn't there. Supervisor Margaret Lee Thomas wasn't there. Magic Johnson wasn't there. Some of the faith leaders in the African-American churches weren't there. So I think that's pretty telling about where the African-American community is in California, which is to say there's not a monolithic African-American vote. And Gavin made the point that there are substantial numbers of African-Americans who are supporting him. So I think there's no clear front runner in the black community as it relates to the governor's race.
Yeah, and Magic Johnson, of course, such a big supporter of Antonio when he ran for mayor.
Yes.
Joel Pollak, let's talk about the Republicans. They're having their convention this weekend. We've got John Cox, we've got Travis Allen, both trying to coalesce Republican support. Do you see one of them emerging, and do you think that a Republican can win this thing?
Well, what we know is that both of those gentlemen have passed Antonio Villaraigosa in at least one poll. There's a surge of enthusiasm right now on the Republican side with the revolt against the sanctuary state laws. Ever since Jeff Sessions came in and the Trump administration's filed that lawsuit, you've seen community after community in Orange County, San Diego County, now other counties coming out and opposing those sanctuary state laws. That has energized conservatives and given them a reason to re-engage. So we see both Cox and Allen doing very well in polls lately. It may be less important for the party to agree on which one of them is going to support than for both of them to continue the enthusiasm around the sanctuary state rebellion. And if they do, one of them can make that second slot.
Another big issue is the Trump investigation. We saw Rudy Giuliani coming out this week confirming some stuff, and then President Trump potentially taking it back. Areva, I know you got a strong take. What do you think is going on with the Trump legal team?
I think they're in total turmoil. I think the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. As you just said, Giuliani had this media blitz where he revealed facts about the legal case that weren't revealed previously, and those facts contradict what President Trump and Michael Cohen have been saying for months about the Stormy Daniels case in particular. And I think he created more questions than he did answers, and he's given federal prosecutors a lot of other leads that they will be sure to follow up on.
Joel, you're an attorney. Do you see it the same way?
Well, I think a lot of those prosecutors already had some of those leads. We saw the seizure of Michael Cohen's documents, potentially compromising the attorney-client privilege that he had with Donald Trump. The story this week that NBC had to correct partially was that they had wiretapped Michael Cohen's phone. Turns out they weren't listening in, but they were monitoring. We don't know the truth. There's a lot out there that suggests the president's under extreme pressure, and what's concerning is that prosecution seems to have run out of bounds.
Well, can I just comment on the attorney-client privilege? One of the things that Giuliani said that was so, I think, such a bombshell statement was that Michael Cohen did very little legal work for Donald Trump. So it's kind of ironic when we hear these statements about the attorney-client privilege when you have a lawyer not serving in his capacity as a lawyer.
Another big issue this week, Kanye West and his potential role with the Republican Party. We've seen the president's support among some African Americans actually go up in the wake of this. What do you make of Kanye's place in all this?
Well, Alex, the former basketball player Dennis Rodman once said, he said, the only bad press is an obituary. And what Donald Trump and Kanye West have in common, and I think one of the reasons they seem to hold each other in very high regard, is they've both decided very early in their careers that controversy is good for business, whether it's selling music or selling a candidacy. And while I'm sure if you really broke it down, Kanye West and Donald Trump would agree on very little, that penchant for controversy really binds them and has them.
And Kanye has 5 albums coming out. Thank you guys so much for being here, but they are not done yet. We've got a thing called the bonus issue. The panel will be talking with us. It's an additional digital-only segment. You can watch it at Facebook.com, at my Facebook page, YouTube page, on our The Issue Is podcast page as well. We're going to be talking about Eric Garcetti, Little Kim, North Korea, lots of stuff to go to. Some final thoughts and a look at the issues we talk about next week when we come back.